Hi guys, so I've been riding this Ducati for about 2 months now. Did about 2,000 kilometers, and I figured I should probably do a proper review, since there are not a lot of reviews of this bike online. Written pretty much, but no YouTube reviews. And yeah, of course it's a pretty old second-hand bike, but still people are going to buy it. So here's my review. So it's the Ducati Multistrada 1000 DS. This is the 2003 model, which is the first model as well. And it didn't change a lot after that, design wise anyway. The later ones did get a higher screen, because this one does have some turbulence on the helmet. And one of the other things is they changed the side stand for the later models, because this one is pretty much too short and it has the chance of the bike falling over. I think that happened to this bike as well somewhere in the past. So the previous owner installed a center stand for this one. So like I said, it's the 1000 DS model, which means it has the 992cc L-twin air-cooled engine, which you also find, I think, in the Supersport models from the same period. It has about 85 horsepower and 60 something Newton meters of torque, and it's pretty much the slowest bike least powerful bike I had in 12 years of riding. Not that you really notice it. To be honest, my previous bike, which was a Honda X11, it was faster off the line, but it was also a lot heavier than this one. Dry weight is about 192 kilograms, which makes it a very light and flickable bike. And Honda X11, for example, was, I think, somewhere around 235 kilograms, which is a major difference. Even though you do notice the Honda is also built for like the mountain roads and stuff like that. It's not exactly a tourer, but still the steering goes much heavier. Easily falls into the corner. A lot of people I know who had the Honda X11, which aren't a lot by the way, because here in Holland only about 80 of them were sold. But a lot of them, they put extra spacers in the rear suspension, making the, I think it's called the rake of the front suspension a little less, making it a little bit easier to steer. So anyways, back to the Multistrada. The DS model, which pretty much stands for Dual Spark and not Dual Sports, like some people think. Because it's not really a dual sport bike anyway. It will do some off-roading. The best comparison I've yet read is the fact that it's a bit of a crossover between a touring bike and like the Supermoto, and this also means that, like a Supermoto, it can do some gravel roads and stuff like that, but you wouldn't go hardcore mountaineering on it, like you would probably do with the KTM Adventures and perhaps even the BMW GS. On the other hand, it is much lighter than the GS. The dry weight of the GS is also, for the bikes from the same period, which means it's the 1100 or the 1150 GS early model, those are also like 235 kilograms dry weight, so it makes a lot of a difference. So I did read some reviews saying that even though it isn't really a dual sport bike, it will do pretty good, pretty much because of its weight. So I won't go into all the details about the bike being the Ugly Duckling, being designed by Pierre Terblanche, who also did the 999, which is pretty iconic, but also kind of a love it or hate it bike, which steps away from the Ducati design philosophy they later come back to with the 1098. But personally, I love the 999 looks, and I also love the looks of the Multistrada. So, but being sort of considered a love it or hate it ugly duckling bike, there aren't a lot of them sold, which is probably why there aren't a lot of reviews online as well. And a lot of the reviews mention that it's kind of a bike you have to ride to understand, which I think is kind of odd, because I think the bike isn't much different from, for example, the Yamaha TDM, which is pretty much a sales hit and has been for years. So yeah, it's let's call it an acquired taste. So like I said, I've done about 2,000 kilometers on the bike now, 1950 to be exact, because the mileage on this thing was exactly 16,000 when I bought it. I bought it from the first owner. I bought it at a dealership who traded it in. And it's pretty well maintained. It does have some issues. I think, like I said, I think it's fell over in the past. There are some minor things that you can see about the bike that kind of clues to this direction. But besides that, it's a pretty good maintained bike. And one of the things to consider when buying a Ducati is supposed to be the maintenance schedule and maintenance cost. Well, since I have it for 2 months now, I don't have any first-hand experience on that department. What I do know that it's a pretty accessible bike, obviously because it's air-cooled, but also because there's no fairing and stuff like that. All the parts are pretty well reachable, which also means that if you are somewhat handy and you do have the time and space to work on a bike, there's a lot of things you can do yourself. So to be honest, the manual for the bike says that even chain adjustment should be done by a Ducati mechanic, which is kind of weird because it's pretty simple, and you don't even need specific tools. If you look up a workshop manual for this bike, they say they do, because of the single-sided swing arm. But if you look online, there are a lot of videos explaining why you don't actually need the specific tools, and you just use what you have. Some proper tools are recommended, probably, like a proper torque wrench and stuff like that, but otherwise you can do a lot of this maintenance yourself. So regarding the bike, the reason I bought this bike is because I wanted a bike with a lot more upright position, so it checks the box on that department. And you can obviously feel that it's more of a touring oriented bike. On the other hand, because it's so light and flickable and the suspension is really good, you can pretty much keep up with the sports bike on the mountain roads. It doesn't have that much top speed. I think it will go 214 kilometers an hour on paper. And on the early models that's probably not the best idea, specifically because the screen is a bit lower, although there are a lot of options to change that. You can get the double bubbles, you can get the various screens, the spoilers, you name it. But still, you're pretty much your head is in the wind, so I don't think 214 kilometers an hour on this thing is very comfortable. Although admittedly I did do about 250 kilometers an hour on the Honda X11, which has no screen at all. But I was deadly tired after that as well, so I'm planning a long trip to Germany in the near future, which is about 700 kilometers single way, so I'll write some information about that, how that went, in the description of this video. One of the other things about the early models is the pretty harsh seat, according to the reviews. I'm pretty okay with it, to be honest. The seat on the Honda X11 was extremely soft, which didn't suit me as well. So I find this one very comfortable. But apparently they changed it for the 1100 models starting, I think, 2007. So I did see a couple of accessories available, like seat covers, which will probably make it somewhat more comfortable. Obviously can get the seats redone, but it will get a lot more expensive. So I've had about 12 years of riding experience, but I'm not the most talented rider, I guess. There's always something to learn. And so far I've only driven or ridden 4-cylinder Japanese bikes. My first bike was the ZZR 600 by Kawasaki, and the bike after that was the Honda X11. I did ride some other bikes in between, for maybe a day or something. I rode the ER6N by Kawasaki, the Aprilia RS3 Mille, one of the early models. I've ridden the Aprilia Pegaso Strada, the 650 single or double cylinder, which is pretty much one of the most fun bikes I've ridden, but this one comes really close. Obviously the Pegaso is very light, so on the back roads it's a fantastic bike, even though it has only about 50 horsepower, which is well over enough for a bike like that. I just couldn't live with it since I drive quite a lot of highway miles, so that's where this bike comes in. And at that time the Honda X11 came in. So regarding this bike's power, like the 85 horsepower I mentioned, with that it's the least powerful bike I've owned. The Honda had about 142, but yet this thing, the front wheel of this bike gets so light so easily, it's really not an issue. And after all, pretty much any motorcycle with more than 50 horsepower is going to be a fast bike anyway. So I don't have a lot of experience riding 2-cylinder bikes, especially the large displacement 2-cylinder bikes. The Kawasaki ER6 I ridden first was a 650, and it was also powered down to 35 kilowatts because of the motorcycle license rules here in Holland. Anyways, I'm not here to review the Kawasaki. So anyways, not a lot of experience with 2-cylinder large displacement twins, and it takes some getting used to. It shakes a bit more, it rattles a bit more, which also means you hear the bike a lot more, also because it's an air-cooled engine, so there's not a lot which muffles the sound of the engine. And like I said, it took some getting used to, because I was used to the Kawasaki and Honda 4-cylinder Japanese bikes, which are very smooth, just purring along, and especially the Honda, you can ride it very lazy without shifting a lot. which is a lot different with this bike if you don't want to rattle your bones. But then again, it does give the bike a lot of character, and it's really fun to ride. It also means that the bike is not as quiet as the Honda, but the Honda then again sounds like a vacuum cleaner. So this bike is completely stock, which means the default exhaust as well. I did consider getting a different exhaust, but I used this bike to ride to clients as well, and admittedly the sound of the stock exhaust is pretty good in my opinion. And I'm not kind of the loud pipe save lives type anyway. I do have to say it muffles a lot when I wear my earplugs. But then again, if you're doing some serious touring on this bike, that would probably be better anyway. So I don't need an exhaust to compensate for my earplugs. So the Ducatis are pretty much famous for having poor rear view mirrors. This model is really no exception. With the later models they did change the stem of the mirror, if you will, making them a bit taller. But apparently, according to the other reviews, because I have no first-hand experience, they're still crap. So if you're considering an adventure bike of some sort, there are probably better bikes in the same price range as this one. You can get an older Africa Twin, which is pretty much the mother of the adventure bikes in my opinion. It will be older, it will have some more mileage, but then again it's a Honda, so it's pretty much unbreakable. And if you're really into the adventure touring, it'll probably be more suited than this one. But if you're more like me and you're looking for a bike you can ride pretty good distances on and just sometimes have a little fun on the dirt, well, I can't promise anything, but this might be the bike for you. I'm going to get some, or I have plans to get some Continental TKC 70s, so it's like the 70/30 on-road off-road tire. And once I have those, I will probably do an off-road course of something, maybe the BMW Riders course, so I can give a proper off-road review on the bike by that time, but I'll put it in another video. Also, an important thing to mention about this bike is that there aren't a lot of accessories available specifically for off-road use. There's only one guy that makes crash bars for these bikes. You get them in America for about $500 if he still produces them. He is also the only one that produces a proper thumb guard, which I think both are, well, at least pretty important if you want to go off-roading. And maybe when I call the guys from the off-road riding course and tell them I want to join on a early modern Multistrada, they'll tell me I'm an idiot. We'll see. As long as you're having fun, I guess. So any other things I can tell you about this bike is that mileage is pretty good. I get about 21 to 22 kilometers out of a liter of petrol. So that's pretty much all I can tell you about this bike, which you can't read in any written reviews. So I hope it's helpful, and if you have time you can check out my other videos.